Greetings folks, Tanookiplayer here. Pokemon has brought some great childhood memories in our household. Back in the 890s, Pokemon was everywhere, from cartoons, trading card games, and even bed seats. You couldn't even go outside without seeing something related to the monster giant. While I did have an angsty teen phase of not liking Pokemon, the series has mostly stuck with me in a positive light. And so today, I'll be listing some of my favourite Pokemon of all time. I'm a casual fan of the series, so I have no idea what the term EV means or anything about the tier list. This is a personal list, so I'll be looking at the visual appeal, design, and my memorable experiences. So let's begin with number 10.
The power is yet unknown.
I'm not a huge fan of legendary Pokemon. They normally appear around the end of the game, so I never really grew attached to a lot of them. And some of them don't yet appeal to me. There are a few that are okay, like Mewtwo and Unala, but Ho-Ho is my favourite out of all of them. The first time seeing this fiery bird was back with my first experience with the franchise. Before I played any of the games, I saw the very first episode of Pokemon, which aired in the UK back in 1999, and I really enjoyed it as a kid. At the end of the first episode, I saw a glimpse of Ho-Ho, and it was so mysterious that even the characters in the show had no idea what it was. I was spellbound by this Pokemon that it drew me into the world. I owned the old version when it came out, and it was my first ever legendary Pokemon that I've ever caught. Maybe without seeing Ho-Ho in the anime, I wouldn't got into Pokemon.
The power is yet unknown.
Some of my favourite kind of Pokemons are the ones that resemble real life animals, especially the cute and cuddly types, like Pancham. The main reason why it's in my top 10 is because pandas are some of my favourite animals next to dogs and raccoons. Pancham was the one that caught my eye seeing footage for X and Y, and I knew I wanted one in my party. While it's only a first stage Pokemon that wouldn't be useful towards the end game, it was pretty useful during the beginning game, especially against a second gym leader with some pretty strong moves like Sias and Karate Chop. Even though Ho-Ho is far better than Pancham in terms of stats, Pancham just has that adorable factor. Ah, it's so cute! A thing about Pokemon besides Backian is that you can imagine some of them like pets. And if Pokemon were real, I could imagine having a Pancham as a pet.
The power is yet unknown.
Sun and Moon has become one of my favourites within the series, with its lush environments, the wonderful team style, and a pretty good selection of Pokemon, from Rowlet, Juventus, and Beware. But my favourite out of all of them is Lycanroc. I've always had a fondness for monster films like Frankenstein and the Wolfman, so when I saw the different forms of Lycanroc in one of the Sun and Moon trailers, I knew that I needed it in my team. It's interesting that one of the Pokemon to debut in Sun and Moon featured a Pokemon that has a day and night form. I caught one in my first playthrough and named him John Talbane from Darkstalkers, and it was an absolute powerhouse in my playthrough, wiping out the majority of trial leaders and the champion. I know that most people prefer the midday form, but I grew attached to the midnight form, mostly due to the fact it was the one I had. I love the feral Wolfman design with its bloodthirsty eyes and the grin on its face. If I ever go back to play Moon version, I definitely have Lycanroc on my team again.
The power is yet unknown.
Starters are special. They are normally the first Pokemon that people grow attached to the most. My first ever starter Pokemon was Pikachu, and well, I didn't really have any emotional attachment to the yellow rodent. My first Pokemon game was the yellow version, but it was Pokemon Gold that I fell in love with the series. A lot of people I knew who played the second generation either started with Cyndaquil or Totodile, but for me, I always went for Chikorita, and I love its final form, Meganium. As a kid, I was into dinosaurs, thanks to the film A Land Before Time, and my favourite character, Yoshi, so Meganium just stood out more compared to the other final starters. While starting with a grass type in Generation 2, it was difficult due to the first two gym leaders specialising in flying and bug types, which are strong against grass types. However, the Tetarita family have pretty decent defense and special defense, and being my only Pokemon I had before the first gym leader gives me a lot of time to train it. I also learned moves like Synthesis, Poison Powder, and Reject pretty early on, which helped a lot through my playthroughs. Overall, Meganium has a cool design and is a great support Pokemon.
The power is yet unknown.
While Meganium is my favourite starter in Generation 2, my favourite Generation 2 Pokemon is Steelix. Steel types are normally some of the best types that can withstand physical damage, and Steelix is definitely top tier when it comes to defense, but also has a Meta Evolution which is tied with Meta Aggron and Suckle with the best defense out of any Pokemon, making it a real beast in battle. While it doesn't have a great resistance, Steelix has always been a valuable team member in my party ever since Pokemon Gold, and when I was only a kid who didn't really have a full grasp on type advantages, the Giant Snake has always been there to take the bullet out of some powerful attacks, giving me time to revive and heal the rest of my party. However, Steelix can only be obtained by trading an Onix with a Metal Coat, so I had to get one of my brothers to trade with pretty early in the game so I could take down Budsy's Cypher, Whitney's Miltank, and Morty's Ghost types. Steelix has some great abilities, such as Sturdy, which can survive one-hit moves, making it incredibly useful to attack or heal again, and Rockhead, which neglects the attacks with Recoil, which is fantastic as I could spam moves at Double Edge without paying the price.
The power is yet unknown.
Besides the TV show, I originally saw Pokemon in many forms of products. It normally had the starters, Pikachu, Gengar, amongst many others, that regularly appeared in the anime. But there was always one that caught my eye, and that was Poliwhirl. To me, Poliwhirl has that masked up vibe, with its round design, simple but effective colour scheme, and white gloves that is oddly appealing. I wonder why so many characters have white gloves. While it's not a very strong Pokemon, it has a diverse move pool from ground, ice, psychic, fighting, and of course, water type moves, making it easy to customize. Besides the first black and white game, Poliwhirl is obtainable in every game before going up against the Elite Four, and has always appeared in my party, so the attachment to this Pokemon is very strong. So every time I play a new game with the wild and unknown cast, I know that Poliwhirl will always give me a sense of familiarity and comfort. It can evolve into either Poliwrath or Politoed, which are technically better, but I just prefer Poliwhirl's ball-shaped design, which makes it yet so adorable. Ew. Gross. Never mind.
The power is yet unknown.
While Poliwhirl is the first frog Pokemon I grew attached to, Greninja is the lord of the amphibians. This seems an uncommon choice amongst many fans, but Greninja is one of my favourites. I've always loved ninjas in media, ever since I grew up with the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, and when I first saw Greninja upon the release of X and Y, I knew that I needed it in my party. A lot of its moves closely resemble a ninja's tools and skills, such as Saddle Sneak, Spikes, and its signature move, Water Saluting. Greninja has a pretty unique inspiration, as frogs, toads, and ninjas are normally associated with each other in Japanese folklore, as there was a man named Lyra who could transform into a giant toad. Super Mario Bros. 3 has a lot of Japanese references. In my only playthrough of X, I had a Greninja who was named Strider Hiryu due to his visual representation, and it was one of my most valuable Pokemon with its incredible speed and diverse move pools. It also appeared in Super Smash Bros. For Wii U and 3DS as a fighter with one of the best final smashes in the game, and while not even close to one of my favourite Smash Bros. Characters, Greninja was surprisingly fun.
The power is yet unknown.
Bulbasaur, Charmander, and Squirtle. This is the question every trainer must know. Most people I knew were either Team Charmander or Team Squirtle, But besides these generations, I was always into the grass starters, and Bulbasaur was the best option to start off within the Kanto games, as it was good against the first 2 gym leaders. Out of all the forms, Ivysaur was my favourite, as it had a nice middle ground between cute and badass. And like what I said about Medanium, I love dinosaurs, and Ivysaur captures that Jurassic design. Ivysaur was also my source of capturing the majority of Pokemon in Leaf Green and X, as it learned Seed Powder, which made it easier to capture these Pokemon, especially legendaries, which without their Master Ball were a pain to taps. Wow, I made it sound like I was a kidnapper. Ivysaur also appeared in Super Smash Bros. Brawl as a playable character alongside Squirtle and Charizard, and while it wasn't my favourite character, it was definitely my favourite Pokemon to play in the game, as it learned moves like Bullet Seed and Stun Spore, which was an explosive up smash. I hardly ever switched to Squirtle or Charizard because Ivysaur was too darn fun to play as. I'm so glad it's back in Smash Ultimate.
The power is yet unknown.
When I was a kid, I was fascinated by rhinos and triceratops. I used to have toys of them, as well as loving the heck out of Rambi from Donkey Kong Country, and watching shows that featured these bulky animals. Then, in one of the Pokemon episodes, I saw a Rhydon, and I thought to myself, wow, this is so cool. Rhydon is a rock and ground type, which suits well as rhinos have thick skin and are extremely heavy, weighing around 5,000 pounds. It also relates to its stats, as Rhydon has some amazing physical and defense, and it serves with its moves that it learns automatically, like Stomp, Takedown, and Meadow Horn. In Leaf Green, I caught a Rhyhorn and named him Rambi. It took a while to get him, as it was only available in the Safari Zone, which was around the 5th and 6th gym, and he didn't evolve until level 42, but when he did, man, Rambi was a force to be reckoned with. As throughout the rest of the thing, he became my MVP Pokemon, taking out the rest of the gym leaders like Blaine and Giovanni, and was the Pokemon that stood against Lance's Dragon Pokemon all by himself. Rhydon was also my HMCA that learned Strength and Surf, which I always found it hilarious. Just imagine what a surfing Rhydon would look like.
The power is yet unknown.
Throughout the years, the number of species shown in this universe has increased with every generation, and will continue growing, so deciding on a top 10 was pretty difficult. Some Pokemon were even swapped numerous times, and some unfortunately got the cut. But one Pokemon always sat with me as my favourite, and that Pokemon is Sandshrew. Ever since I saw Sandshrew in the anime using Fissure, I was blown away. While Sandshrew has probably one of the worst special stats, it made up with pretty decent physical stats, some diverse moves like Shadow Cure, Earthquake and X-Scissor, as well as being too cute with its chubby belly and golden body. Like Poliwell, I always taught a Sandshrew in every Pokemon game it was available in the main campaign, and basically became the mascot in my teams. Sandsias is also a fantastic Pokemon, but I always preferred its predecessor, mainly for its cuteness, and in my first playthrough of Leaf Green, I never evolved it so much so it became the first Pokemon that reached level 100. Sandshrew also got an Alolan form in Sun and Moon, which was an Ice and Steel type, and while I did enjoy that form, I prefer its original counterpart, mainly for its nostalgia factor, but also due to the fact that ground types are my personal favourite. It was one of the first Pokemon I ever caught, and one of the first Pokemon I grew attached to, and when it appears in the next generation, I would definitely catch it again. Many people like Pokemon for different reasons, like for the Pokemon's brute strength and usefulness, or by its cute factor and adorable designs, and I think that's one of the reasons why the series has continued to strive in today's industry. This has been Tanookiplayer, and I hope you have a wonderful day.